Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of this video where I'll be focusing on making the sleeves of the blouse, the shoulders, as well as the drawstrings for the back. I'm going to start by making the sleeves, which are bell sleeves here at the bottom, and then it gets a bit more fitted as we go up the arm. It's gonna look something like this. I'm gonna just put it on for a little. So you'll see where it's belled at the bottom and then it gets a bit more fitted as we go up. Now I've also gone ahead and added an additional color here, this cream color, to go with the greens that I've been using before, and that's because this is the color that I'll be using for my drawstrings. So I'll go ahead and show you how to make the sleeves. Both sleeves are made the same, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get this done. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot, and then I'm going to make 80 chains. Now 80 chain stitches will give me a very wide base for my bell bottom sleeves down here. Depending on the size of your hand, you may want to do more or less chains. Once you're finished, you can just go ahead and wrap it around your hands to see if you're comfortable with that size. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and chain 80. To do a chain stitch, simply yarn over and pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through, 4, 5, and I'm going to go ahead and continue that until I have 80 chains in total. Now once you've completed your 80 chains, go ahead and do a slip stitch inside of your first chain stitch here. So I'm going to insert my hook inside the chain, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull the yarn through and pull it through the loop on the hook as well. Now that that's completed, we're going to be working in rounds going forward, and we'll be working using double crochets. So that's regular double crochets. In the first stitch that is here, go ahead and insert your hook inside the stitch, so like this. Now pull through a loop. You should have 2 loops remaining on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops and chain 1. That will act as our first double crochet. To do our second double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook inside the stitch and pull up a loop. You're going to have 3 loops on the hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Now also go ahead and place a marker on top of the second stitch because that is where we'll be closing out our round. Now yarn over, insert your hook into the third chain stitch there, pulling up a loop. Then to complete the double crochet, we yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. So I'll do a few more as an example. Yarn over, insert inside the stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2. 1 more, insert in the stitch and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and continue doing double crochets going all the way around, and then I'll show you how to close out the round. Now once you've completed your very last stitch of the round, you're going to close the round, and we're going to do that by making this loop a bit larger. And then we're going to remove our marker from the second stitch there. that's where we'll be closing out our round, and we'll do that by inserting our hook from the back of the stitch like so, hooking or loop to the hook, and then pulling it through. Now you can pull on the yarn to adjust the size of the stitch, but we want this stitch to be similar in sizes to the other stitches. So you can go ahead and adjust it until you're comfortable with the size of the stitch. Now once finished in the first stitch, go ahead and insert your hook under the stitch. So our hook is already in a loop, but we're going to insert it under our first stitch like that. And then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. With 2 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through 2 and chain 1. That will be our first double crochet. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. So in our next, we yarn over our hook, insert it under the stitch and pull up a loop as we did in the last round. And then we yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. On top of that second stitch, I'm going to place my marker back on top of it because this is where we'll be closing out our round. So a marker always goes on top of the second stitch of the round so that we'll know where to close out the round. So again, I'm going to be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going all around. So yarn over, insert and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and continue doing double crochets going all around until we're at our last stitch here. Now once you get to the end of the round, we're going to go ahead and make our loop larger, and we're going to close out the round in exactly the same way that we did the last round. So you can remove your hook, and we're going to remove our marker that we placed on the second stitch here, and then we're going to insert our hook from the back of the stitch like this. Now hook your loop to the hook and pull it through. That's how we'll be closing out our round going forward as well. Now in the next round, I'm going to do that in the exact same way that we did the last, where we'll start by doing a double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook under the stitch like this, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then chain 1 for my first double crochet. That's also how we'll be doing our first double crochet in each round going forward. And then I'm going to be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going around. Now I'm going to go ahead and place a marker on top of the second stitch there, and then I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch, as I said, going all the way around. So go ahead and continue that until we get to our last stitch, and then I'll show you how to do the third round, where we'll start our decreases in double crochets. Now that we've gotten to the end of the round, I'm just going to go ahead and close it out, and I'm going to do that in the exact same way as I did before, where I insert my hook to the back of the stitch where the marker was, hook my loop to it and pull it through. So in this round, we're going to go ahead and start our decreases, and this is a step in making the sleeves smaller. So we're going to start as we did in the previous round, where we insert our hook under the first stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and then chain 1. And then we're going to do another double crochet. Now go ahead and place your marker back on top of the second stitch. But in this round, the pattern that I'll be using is 2 double crochets and then 1 decreased double crochet. The way that you do that is by yarning over, pulling up a loop, But we're not going to go ahead and complete the double crochet. Instead, we're going to insert our hook in the next stitch, pulling up a loop as well. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. And then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that double crochet will span from this stitch to this stitch. Now after doing this double crochet, I'm going to do 2 regular double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 here and 1 here. And in the stitch beside it, we're going to go ahead and work the decrease. So yarn over, insert into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Insert into the stitch beside it and pull up a loop as well. Yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. And then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So it's pretty easy to do. You can go ahead and continue doing that, going all around. I'll show you once more how to do the set. We do 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, so 1 here and 1 here, and right beside it we go ahead and work a decrease. So we pull up a loop in our first stitch, and in the stitch beside it we pull up another loop, yarn over and pull through those 3 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and continue the pattern going all the way around. Now I've gotten to the end of the row and I have 1 stitch remaining in which I'll do a regular double crochet. If you find that you have an extra stitch without being able to complete the pattern, that's completely fine. As long as we've done decreases in this row, then we should be good with making our sleeves smaller. So now I'm going to go ahead and close out the round as I normally would by making my loop there larger. I'm going to remove my marker and insert my crochet hook from the back of the stitch where the marker was. Hooking my loop to the crochet hook, I'm just going to go ahead and pull it through. Now you can pull on your working yarn to decrease the size of the stitch. And then in the next row, which will be the final row that I'll do in this color, I'm going to repeat what I did in the last row, whereby I'll do 2 regular double crochets and then a decrease. So start by inserting your hook under the stitch and pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 and chain 1. And in the stitch beside it, we do a regular double crochet. And then I'm going to place my marker back on top of that stitch so that I know where to close out the round. And then I'm going to do a decrease. So 1 loop pulled up here, and in the next stitch I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops, pull through the last 2 loops. And I'm going to repeat that pattern. So 1 double crochet here, and 1 double crochet in the stitch beside it, and then a decrease double crochet where I yarn over, pull up a loop, and in the stitch beside it I pull up another loop, yarn over and pull through all 3, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and continue the pattern in the next row as well. And then I'm going to show you how to change the colors. So you'll see on the sleeves that I made here, I completed 5 rows and then I switched the color to the lighter green here. You also want to make sure that you do the exact same thing for both sleeves so that they're the same size. So I did 5 rows here of this color and then I switched. So I'm going to show you how to switch colors for your sleeves. Once we get to our last stitch of the row, we're going to start the double crochet, but then we're going to finish it with another color. So taking the other color here, I'm going to show you how to change colors for each round. So I'm going to start my double crochet as normal, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pulling through the first 2 loops. But when we get to the last 2 loops, I'm going to take the new yarn, with a new color, you can wrap it around your finger like this, and then you can just go ahead and pull it through. So it's very simple. Once done, you can just go ahead and pull on the yarn to make it larger, and then we're going to close out the round as normal. So I'm going to remove my marker, insert my hook from the back of the stitch where the marker was. I'm going to hook the yarn to it and pull it through. You can go ahead and pull on the yarn, both the working yarn and the tail, to adjust the size of your loop. And then I'm going to start working my double crochets. Now for the next 4 rounds, we'll be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. And you want to work your double crochets, if you have a tail, you want to work them over the tail to kind of hide it. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So go ahead and grab the working yarn. So that's this yarn here. And then we're going to start the row as normal, inserting our hook under the stitch. Now you also want to insert your hook under the tail, and that's both tails, because we're going to cut the yarn here that we were using before. I'm going to cut it. Taking my working yarn, I'm just going to pull up a loop, pull through 2 and chain 1, and then I'm going to work a double crochet in the next stitch. And again, I'm yarning over both the tails so that we can hide them. So that's the second double crochet, and I'll be placing my marker back on top of that stitch, because this is always where we'll be closing out our rounds. So continue doing double crochets, 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. So I will not be doing any decreases in this round. So you can continue doing double crochets going all around. So it's 1 double crochet in each stitch, no decreases, and we'll actually also be doing that in the next 4 rounds. So we should have 4 rounds of double crochets with no decreases, just like this one. So you can close out the round in exactly the way that I've shown you to do in the previous rounds. Create 4 rounds of double crochets in total in your next color, and then I'll show you how to make your work smaller. So I've gone ahead and I've completed 4 rounds of double crochet, and this is rounds without any decreases, and you can clearly see the effect of the decreases done in the previous round, where we have a bell type sleeve and it's getting smaller as we go up. Now the center here where our arms would go, it's still a bit big, so in the next round I'm going to do another round of decreases here for the last round that I'm going to do in this color. So I'm going to close out the round, insert my hook to the back of the stitch and pull the yarn through. And then I'm going to do this round in the same way that I did the rounds before where I had a decrease. So I'm going to start by doing 1 double crochet, and then another double crochet in the next stitch. And well, that's the second stitch of the round, so I'm going to go ahead and place my marker back on top of it. and then I'm going to do a double crochet with the decrease this time. So I pulled up a loop here, and in the next stitch I'm going to pull up a loop, pull it through, and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. So this is the exact same pattern that we did before that I'll be doing in this round. So you can go ahead and continue that until the round is completed altogether. So I'm almost completed with closing out the round, but I'm going to go ahead and change colors so that my sleeve is the exact same to the one that I did. So I started by doing 5 rounds of double crochets here, 5 rounds here, and then I'm going to do 10 rounds of double crochets following that in this color, 10 rounds here, 10 rounds here, and then I just pretty much keep switching colors. Now this round that we just completed will be the last round of decreases that I'll be doing, and that's because while I wanted the bell look, I didn't want my sleeves to be extremely tight formed on my hand. I still wanted some space there. If you'd like the sleeves to be extremely tight, you can do another row of decreases, that's fine, and you can stop where you're most comfortable. Now once you start doing your rows of double crochets with no decreases, you'll start seeing the impact of the rows of decreases that you've been doing. So you can go ahead and test it out on your own hand to see if you'd like to add another row of decreases. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and change out the color, so I'll show you how to do that once more. So I'll be changing colors in the same way that I did before, whereas I'll be completing my double crochet with the color that I'm changing it to. And then I'm going to make my loop much larger and close out the round as normal. Now once you've done that, you can go ahead and cut the yarn that we were using in the previous round. We're just going to yarn over that to hide it. So you can just go ahead and take the tail as well as the tail from the new yarn, bring it forward so that you'll have ample space to yarn over it. So I'm just going to start the round as normal with a double crochet, and I double crochet in the next stitch as well, yarning over the tail as I go along. And I'll always place a marker on that second stitch because that's where I'll be closing out my round. Now going forward, each and every round will only have 1 double crochet in the round. Now you will get to a point where your sleeve is tight enough, and at that point each round going forward will have just 1 double crochet in each stitch, no stitch that has a decrease. So at this point it becomes fairly easy to do. You can go ahead and continue this round doing double crochets, and the color change is up to you. Again, I did 10 rounds of each color going upwards after I finished the sleeves at the bottom, but you can do as many rounds as you'd like per color. That's up to you. The only thing that is super important is that you do the exact same thing for both sleeves so that they're identical. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my sleeves, and then I'm going to show you how to do the drawstrings for the back of the blouse as well as the shoulders. So we're going to start by making a slip knot. and then we're going to make 2 chains. To make a chain stitch, yarn over and pull through for your first chain stitch, then yarn over and pull through for your second chain stitch. Now insert your hook inside the first chain, this one, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now once done, release the first loop from your hook. So I'm going to take one loop off my hook, so like this, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull the yarn through the loop that's on the hook. Now reinsert your hook into the loop that we would have taken off the hook earlier, yarn over and pull it through that loop as well. And then we're just going to repeat that going all the way up. So remove the first loop from the hook, yarn over and pull the yarn through the remaining loop. Then we're going to reinsert our hook inside the loop that we would have taken off the hook, yarn over and pull it through. So I'm just going to do a few more of those. Remove my hook, yarn over and pull through the remaining loop, reinsert my hook inside the loop, yarn over and pull through. Now this is how your work should look once your drawstring is long enough, and then you can just go ahead and yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops. And you can also cut your yarn and pull on it to tighten. Now I'm going to show you how to insert the drawstring to the back of your work. Now this is the bodice that we created in part 1 of this tutorial. I'll link that in the description below as well as in the cards above. And I'm going to show you how we insert the drawstrings here to the back. So I'm going to start from the top where I'll insert both ends to the inside. And you also want to make sure that this is done evenly. Now once done, we're going to go ahead and insert this into the back in a diagonal pattern. So I'm going to take this side and I'm going to insert it in the stitch on the opposite side there, like that. Taking this side, I'm just going to go ahead and insert it in the stitch on the opposite side here. So like this. And I'm pretty much going to continue doing that, going all the way down. So I'll do a few more. So go ahead and continue the pattern going all the way down. In the end, your work should look something like this. And now I'm going to show you how to do the shoulders. Now I've gone ahead and attached one of my sleeves, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do your sleeve attachments and creating your shoulders as well by attaching the other sleeve on this side. Now I'm going to start by closing out the round for good. This is going to be my last row for my sleeve. Again, you can alternate your colors for your sleeve and stop at whichever point that you are most comfortable with. Now that I'm at my last row, I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn, and then I'm going to pull it through, and taking a crochet needle, I'm just going to go ahead and insert my yarn inside the needle. I'm also going to insert my needle under the first stitch here. So right here, I'm going to insert my needle right under that and pull it through. And then I'm going to take my needle and place it through the last stitch here. So right through the middle, as well as through the back bump here. I'm going to just place it through both and pull it all the way down. And what you'll see is that now all our stitches look alike. Now I'm also going to be weaving my yarn through the stitches here in the back, and that's to hold it in place. Now I'm going to show you how to attach the sleeves to our shoulders. Now you'll notice that I have two markers here, and what these are marked for are the armpits where my sleeve is going to start. Now to get these markers, I would recommend that you try on your work. You can go ahead and try on the bodice, and then right underneath your armpits, you can just go ahead and mark where it begins and where it ends, and that will serve as your the space created for your sleeve. Now you want to also make sure that you do whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. So you can go ahead and mark it out and go ahead and place markers on the bodice to create that space for the sleeves. Now taking the yarn that you'll be using for your shoulders, we're going to put them together by way of doing slip stitches. So you can take your yarn and wrap it around your finger to hold it in place. And then we're just going to mark out where our markers are to know where to start our work. So, and we're going to just align it with a stitch on the sleeve. So the stitch on the sleeve that I'll be using starts here, and I'm just going to start there as well. So removing my marker, go ahead and insert your hook under the stitch where your marker was, as well as under the stitch of the sleeve. Again, wrapping the yarn around your finger to hold it in place. You can just go ahead and yarn over like this, and then pull up a loop. Now once you've done that, you can go ahead and just chain one to hold it in place, and then we're just going to be doing slip stitches going across the row until we get to this marker here. To do your slip stitch, simply go under the stitch here, and because this is the top of the bodice, the stitches aren't that defined, so you can just go ahead and find a space where it's most appropriate and where it aligns with the stitch on this side. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and then pull that through the loop already on the hook. That's a slip stitch. So we'll be doing slip stitches in each stitch going across the row. Just like that, it's fairly simple to do. So you can just go ahead and continue doing slip stitches like this until we get to this marker here. Now once you've gotten to your last stitch, you can just go ahead and remove your marker, and remember it's the marker that tells you where your last stitch should be. Then you can just go ahead and do your last slip stitch. Now once done, just go ahead and chain one, and then we're going to turn to work now on our sleeves only. And we're going to start by doing a double crochet. Now to do a double crochet, simply insert your hook under the first stitch, which is here, and pull up a loop. Now with 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops and chain 1. That's going to be our first double crochet. And we're just going to be doing double crochets as well in each stitch going all the way around. So now we're going to work from the beginning of the sleeve here where it meets the bodice, going all the way around until we get to the other side where it meets the bodice here. And again, we'll be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going around. To do our next double crochet, that's going to be done as we've done before, where we yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the first 2 loops, and pull through the last 2 loops. So go ahead and continue doing double crochets, and again, it's going to be 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around our sleeves. So it's simply going to look like us transitioning from one color to the next. It's a fairly simple process as well. So go ahead and continue the row until we get to the end here. Now once you've completed your last stitch of the round, we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch onto our bodice here. So this is our bodice. We're going to do a slip stitch on it to join this part of the sleeve that we've just worked on to the bodice. So where it aligns like this is where we'll be doing that slip stitch. So that falls right here. So I'm just going to insert my hook, pull through a loop, and pull that through the loop that would have already been on my hook. And you'll see now that it flows seamlessly from the sleeve right onto the bodice. Now once you've completed the row, go ahead and chain 1, and then you're going to turn your work. So I'm going to turn my work like this, and then we're going to work on the next row. To do that, simply insert your hook inside the first stitch, and I want this to be as close to the bodice as possible. So my first stitch will fall here. I'm going to insert my hook under that stitch and pull up a loop. And just like we did before, we're going to start the row by yarning over and pulling the yarn through both loops and then chaining 1 for our first double crochet. And once that's done, we're just going to be doing double crochet stitches in each stitch going all the way around. So go ahead and continue your double crochets until you're at the end of the row here. So where the end of the sleeve meets the bodice on the other side. Now once we get closer to the end of the row here, we're just going to work our double crochets in each stitch again, but I also like when my final double crochet is right at the edge here, connecting it to the bodice. So I'm going to actually do my last double crochet not here, but right here where we did our final slip stitch. So that it's really close. And then just as we did in the previous round, I'm going to do a slip stitch to connect the sleeve to the bodice. So I'll just align it to see where it ends, which is here. Pull up a loop and pull that through the loop already on the hook. And then we're going to do the same thing for the next round, where we chain 1, we turn our work, and then we start by doing our first double crochet in the stitch closest to the bodice, so right here. I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull the yarn through, and then chain one for my first double crochet. And then I'll be doing one double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. Now once you get to the end of the row, you'll see where we do our last double crochet, which is here. There's a considerable amount of space between that last double crochet and the bodice. I like to work my double crochets going all the way across until I can do that double crochet in the closest spot to my bodice, so that there isn't a considerable amount of space between the sleeves and the bodice. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm just going to go ahead, and where there is a space, I'll work a double crochet. So like this. I may do one here. And then right where the bodice meets the sleeve, I'm going to work my last double crochet. Now once I've done that, I'm just going to do what I've done in the previous rows, whereby I'll do a slip stitch to connect the sleeve to the bodice. So I've aligned it here, pull up a loop and complete that slip stitch. Now chain one and turn your work. Now at this point, I would recommend trying on your top, and this is so that you can measure the arms specifically, because when we get to our shoulders, we'll start introducing decreases to each round. And that's because where we have this space for our arms, it's going to be much larger than the space needed for our shoulders. So once you get to a point where you're comfortable with where your shoulders should start, I'd say you can go ahead and start introducing decreases in each round. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. In my first stitch, I'll do a double crochet as I've done in the previous rounds to start. And I'm going to do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do 1 decreased double crochet. So I would have shown you this technique on our sleeves at the bottom here when we moved from being a bell sleeve to being more fitted. I'm going to use that same approach for my shoulders, whereby I'll start my double crochet. So I'll yarn over, I'll pull up a loop, but I won't complete it. I'll go to the next stitch, insert my hook and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. And then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops for my double crochet. So that will be 1 double crochet that's done in 2 stitches. And then I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. So 1 in each of the next 3 stitches, 1 there, 1 here, and 1 here. And then I'm going to do one of my decrease stitches. So pull up a loop, but don't complete the double crochet. Insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's going to be the pattern for this round and for the rounds to come as well, where we do 3 double crochets and then 1 decreased double crochet. So you can go ahead and continue that going all the way around until we get to the other side of our shoulders. Now once we get to the end of the round, you'll see where it looks very similar to how it did in the last round, where we have a considerable amount of space from our last stitch to our sleeves. So I'm just going to work double crochets going across until I can do one in the stitch directly connecting our sleeve to our bodice. So 1 here, 1 here, and 1 right stitch, which is here, which is right on our bodice there. And then once done, I'm just going to go ahead and do a slip stitch to close. Now I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and I'm going to repeat what I did in the last round. So each round going forward will be a round of decreases. So for our shoulders, for as long or as wide as you'd like your shoulders to be, you can go ahead and do a round like what I'm about to do, what we did in the last round. I'll show you once more how to do that. So we start by doing a double crochet, and we're going to start in the very first stitch here. And then we'll do 3 double crochets in total. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do that decrease double crochet. So I'm going to pull up a loop, but not complete it. In the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the first 3 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So it's 1, 2, 3 double crochets and then 1 decrease. That's going to be the pattern that I'll be using to do the decreases for my project. So you can go ahead and continue that in each row. For this specific piece that I'm doing, I'm going to continue this until I've done 5 rows in total of decreases. So I've done 3 rows that were normal that had no decreases, and then I'm going to do 5 rows that had a decreased double crochet in them. So I'm going to do that until I have 8 rounds in total. So I've gone ahead and completed all 5 rounds of double crochets where I did a decreased double crochet or a double crochet where I did 2 together, right? Now after doing that, I would definitely recommend that you try on your top just to see if you're comfortable with the fit for your shoulders. If it's too loose, I'd recommend doing a bit more decreases to kind of get it tighter, and so on. Now I'm going to also go ahead and add 2 more rows to my shoulders here, but the next 2 rows that I'll do will have no decreases in them. So I'll be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way across the row. So I'm going to start by doing my double crochet as normal. To start, chain 1 for my first double crochet, and then I'll just do 1 double crochet again in each stitch going across the row. And once we get to the end of the round, we just complete that as we've done in the previous rounds. I'm going to do my double crochets right up until we get to the stitch that's directly attached to our bodice. That's where we'll be putting our last double crochet. And then we do a slip stitch on our bodice here to close. So I'm going to pull through a loop and then pull that through the loop on the hook, chain 1, turn my work, and then do 1 double crochet in each stitch going across this row as well. This will also be my final round for this project. Based on your size or based on the fit after you tried on your project, you can go ahead and decide if you'd like to add an additional row or not, and you can keep, experimenting with doing a decrease in the rows just to go ahead and ensure that your shoulders are fitted or that it's not loose. If you find that you try it on and your shoulders appear to be loose, my recommendation would be to, you can restart the round. You can go ahead and, introduce a few more decreases in the row, and that should help with getting the shoulder portion of this project to be a bit more fitted. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this going all the way around, and then I'll show you how to close out the project altogether. And now I'm going to close out the round by doing a slip stitch on my bodice as we've done in the previous rounds. Then I'm going to chain one and turn my work. And now to close out the round altogether, I'm going to be doing slip stitches going all the way across my shoulders here. So in my first stitch, I'm just going to go ahead and insert my hook like so. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and I'm going to pull that through the loop already on the hook to complete the slip stitch. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do that in each stitch going across the row. And once we get to the end of the round here, we're just going to continue doing our slip stitches until we get to the extreme corner here. I'll also be doing a slip stitch on the bodice as well to kind of tie it all together. And once done, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up a loop, cut my yarn, and pull it through. And then taking my crochet needle, I'm just going to go ahead and weave the ends here of this tail in my work, you know, on the inside of the blouse. Go ahead and cut the excess yarn. And that's pretty much it. So we have our final product here. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so as yet. You can also let me know if you have any questions and I'll answer them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye!